Hello, I'm Sophia Lou and welcome to my channel.
Hello guys, and welcome to today's video in which me and Marie are going to go through and guide you on how to help bring your characters to life with posing. Essentially with posing, it is about breaking down the body into simple shapes, and we are going to help you make your poses more dynamic, more interesting to your viewer, and give them a little bit more life, and to help sell the character's design. So grab your tool of choice, make sure to warm up, make sure you're ready to draw, and let's draw together. Let's have fun. Remember, everything comes with practice, and the more you draw, the better you're gonna get. So let's draw. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to break the body down into simple shapes. You're essentially going to use the body almost like building blocks. If you guys would like a more in-depth discussion on how I do this, please let me know in the comments down below. This is something I can very easily do. It's very simple anatomy. There are some fantastic books out there which will give you amazing advice, but in order to be able to understand the body, you need to understand the skeleton of the body and break it down into simple shapes. I did talk about this in a previous video in how to use references and how I break down a body into simple shapes in order to be able to understand the reference and use it better. Remember, always reference from real life. If you cannot reference from real life, try and use as much photography, as much dancing videos, as much movement as you possibly can, because this will really help not only with your posing, but with your character design. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to break down Marie into simple shapes. As you can see here, I've built down some very simple shapes. With female characters, their hips and their shoulders tend to be very similar length. You're not naked, Marie. This is just the basic shapes. The reason why most artists and most people will build a character up naked first is because it's to understand how the body moves. The second you put clothing on a body, you can understand how the clothing would fold, so you can get a more natural idea of what it looks like. As you can see, I've done very basic shapes here. This is to help me understand, but as you can see, this is very, very stiff. There's no interest into the character. She's just stood there. Remember, simple shapes. An S shape is a fantastic rule to use. The body is always moving. There is always a line of action. So what I'm drawing here is a very confident character. A very confident character would have more of an outward expression. So you would push their chest out, their hips more forward, and their overall body would show that they are confident. By pushing out the chest or pushing the hips towards who they are talking to, they are instantly bringing out a more confident, cocky attitude. However, if you're going to make someone who is quite shy, very nervous, maybe more of a slightly nervous disposition, they will almost close themselves in. They are a very timid character. A confident character will always burst out, a timid character will always close in. And you can use this on a number of different things. So S shapes really help. And what I mean by your S shapes is everything has a line of action that curls in a certain way. If you are a regular to one of my videos, you'll always know that I always give my characters lots of shape. The reason why I give my characters lots of shape is it looks interesting. Whereas if I have a character stood and change up their body, it really helps. Use your arms to help sell the pose. If a character is happy, they'll more than likely have more expression in their arms, whereas a quite timid person would not use their arms as much. And the reason why I'm going for the timid and the confident tropes is because these are the easiest tropes to show out in a character design. You can always change up a character by simply moving simple things. Instead of if you're having a character stood in front of you and you want the character to be more confident, you will give them a burst out in their body movement. Even if your character is stood forward, you're always giving them shape, always keeping them interesting. S shapes, curve shapes, line of actions are your best friends, and they will always help you with your character design. If you do want to make this more interesting, your best bet is actually to look at what other people have done. Look at people like Disney, look at your dancing, your acting. Always check your references And remember, practice makes perfect. The more you draw, the better you're going to get. No one is perfect the first time. You will get better, and that's what you've got to remember. Everyone gets better. It's like magic, as Marie would say. So how can we make our posing better? How can we make a character look more interesting? This is very, very simple. So using your arms and using your body shape, you can completely change up the way a character is. So when I'm drawing a person, I never actually draw them completely facing towards the camera, because no matter if the person is facing towards the camera or facing away, a part of their body will never actually be facing the camera. Tilted hips really do help a character. And what I mean by this is a person, even when they're stood straight, a person who is stood straight, even if say if they are an army officer or any way, shape or form, they will always have a slight tilt to their body. So what I mean by this is, if you tilt body slightly, if you use yourself as reference, when you're stood up, take pictures, you'll notice that even when you stand straight, if you stand straight and force yourself to stand straight, it feels unnatural. People naturally lean, people naturally move, even when they're stood completely still. And this is just human actions. Yet again, a more confident character will push out, a scared or sky character will crumple in. Use these as your references and help build up your characters, because it will help out completely. A few tips I do give is, when you are drawing a character, don't be afraid to make them move. If you are afraid of drawing hands, draw hands. If you're afraid of drawing feet, draw feet. Draw your fears, because the more you do, the better you're going to get. And this will also help with dynamic posing. If you really want to get good at drawing, and if you really do want to improve, some of the best things to do is always to watch. I love watching dance videos, and sometimes if I really need to practice, I'll watch a lot of dance videos, I'll watch a lot of movies, and I'll very quickly sketch down what the person is doing. You always want your character to look like they are moving, to look like they are a part of a scene. Remember to use your lines of actions to really sell a character. A good way to do this as well is to completely block out a character. And what I mean by this is, when you've done your pose, practice it again and completely block out the character in black. If you can tell the pose by the character being blocked out completely in black, this will really, really help sell your posing. If you can tell what the action is by the pose being completely blacked out, you know you have a really good picture. Now, there are times that you're not always going to be able to completely see everything that a character is doing. By practicing, you will get better, and don't be you're never going to be perfect straight away. This is why I still practice to this day. If an artist says that they no longer practice it anymore, it's how people get stale with their work. You have to practice in order to get better. So that's how your posing can get better as well. Use your references. Always make sure your character looks like they are doing something, because your character will always be doing something. Even if a character is stood still, they're still doing something. Just always treat them like almost, for example, use your friends in your family or the people around you as references. Even when they're stood still, they're not stood completely straight. They're leaning, they're moving, they're always doing something. And this is why when it comes to my drawings that I do, I always like to think of them as a still from an animation. Almost as if my story or my character is moving in that moment that I've taken them from. It helps, it improves. Now, a lot of the poses I do here, they are just very generic poses, and they are just something that I always imagine that Marie would be like. Marie, my character, is a very confident character. She's a very loving character, and she has sort of a way about her. She's not as timid as other characters. But there will be moments where she does want to be by herself, where she does crumple in. Her shyness will take over in certain parts, but by me changing up the posing, that really helps sell what she's feeling at the time. People have emotions, and your character will have emotions as well. So by changing up the posing, you will really understand, and it will make not only your pictures more dynamic, but it will also help sell your character as well. Don't ever be afraid to just take a page in your sketchbook and to draw a bunch of stick men moving, dancing, sitting down, lying down, having fun. This is how you improve, and this is also how your posing will improve, as well as your pictures improve. So I hope I've kind of given some tips here, and I do hope that you guys enjoy this series of videos in which I share bits and pieces that I've learned over time. If you do want me to do more content like this, please let me know in the comment section down below. I read every single one of your comments, and I'm always excited to see what you guys think. If you guys would like me to do another video explaining more about character design, I am more than happy to do that. Character design is something that you can do in a lot of different jobs, and it really does help. If you wish to see more content like this, maybe subscribe to my channel, comment down below in what videos you would like me to see it do in the future, and just enjoy drawing. Never stop practicing, guys. It always helps to practice. And as always, stay creative.